Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the BMWs you need to avoid buying in 2024. And here is why. So guys, today we're going to be talking about the BMWs you need to avoid buying in 2024 or even avoid looking at. Now there's a lot of reasons for that, but the first reason I'm going to get onto, and it's probably going to upset a lot of people on this one, is there's one particular BMW that everyone seems to buy, and you know straight away if they've bought this car, they don't have money to maintain that car. They bought it because it come up in their price range at the time. That's the only reason they bought it. They didn't buy it because it was their dream car. They didn't buy it because they like it. They bought it because it was within their price bracket at the time. But that's all they managed to buy. They can't afford to fix it. And that's why a lot of them drive around with them, falling apart, driving like crap, and then moaning when it costs them more than the car's actually worth. So these cars in particular, you can buy for £1,000, anywhere from 900, £1,000, especially the 1 Series ones, you know, the E87s, the E82s, you can buy them all for like 700, 800, 1100 quid, 1200, E90s, E91s, you can buy them all day long for 1200, £1,300. These cars in particular are the 320Ds, 120Ds, 118Ds, 116Ds. Now, the 116D is with the N47 engine, which is the most unreliable 2-litre diesel lump you can possibly get in any car. It's one of the lowest spec cars with basically manual heaters and everything, no buttons on the steering wheel, no nothing. It's one of the absolute most basic car you can get. They go here for about 600 quid. Nobody wants them. They end up in a scrapyard being crushed into a box and then becoming a Coca-Cola can. That's what many people do with them here, anyone with brains anyway. But you get a lot of people who go out their way to go and purchase this car, and it's not because they wanted this car, it's because, as I said, it come up for the price in their budget, what all they had in their hand. And instead of looking at something more reliable, more reasonable, they went and bought that. And let's be honest, guys, they will never get back the money they paid for that car. So that's why they're always angry, these people, when I say anything about these cars. They get very angry with me because it's the truth, because they know their car's worth nothing. They're never going to get anything back. They can't then afford the repairs when the timing chain breaks on them or if something goes wrong, because, you know, a timing chain is basically a rebuild, which is over £2,000. And how can you justify spending £2,000 on a car that you only paid £900, £1,000 for? Doesn't make sense either. So then what ends up happening is they're lumbered with that car. And then obviously they get other people who don't know nothing about BMWs who just think, oh, it's come up cheap, let's buy it, and then they get lumbered with the problems. And you know, these people actually do have the money, or these other people manage to find the money because they've got no choice. They have to find the money, get themselves into debt, get themselves a loan just to repair that car because the other person neglected it, sold it back, got his money back and passed the buck on to someone else. And that's how it ends up going with BMW. That's very, very common, especially here in the UK. Someone is always looking to pass the buck on to someone else and hope that they're going to repair it. Traders are the same. A lot of traders do the same thing. They pass the buck. They'll sell a car. Doesn't matter if the engine's about to hanging out the bottom of the car. They will sell it to you and hope that you're going to repair it. That's how they make money. They buy the car cheap with all the faults on it. Then they try and make it look perfect. Either use kind of spray paint, tidy up everything in the engine bay, or jet wash all the oil away where it's leaking from the valve cover, or jet wash oil all the way, make the engine look shiny new. Or, you know, another famous trick they like to use, a lot of traders, is by putting steel seal in the header tank to try and repair head gaskets. It's another trick traders like to use. You get a lot of that up west here in the UK. A lot of people up west or in Luton, they've got a very, very bad tendency for that. Do remember, guys, I'm in the trade, but I'm not like any of them. You guys see, I go through every detail of the car. I spend a lot more money than any trader in their life would spend on cars, because I overhaul cars to the fullest. As you see with my Porsches, as you see with my BMs all the time, I overhaul everything. I don't just mess about and do what needs repairing or just this little bit to make money, because it's not about the money to me. It really isn't. That's what YouTube is here for. I want to be able to give cars back cheaply. And this is why I always said, guys, if I could buy cars cheap that you guys wanted to buy, I would happily just, you know, sell them to you guys cheap. But unfortunately I can't. And this is why I get so annoyed about this situation, because if I could buy them cheap enough, I could then sell them to you guys for cheap. I could say, look, this is the car, doesn't owe me nothing, nice E60 here, 5 foot air, if I only paid 800 quid for it, £1,000, sell it to you guys for £2,500, done. You know, it would make a lot more sense than I'm gonna pay £3,500 and say, you know what, no, I put too much money into it now, keep it, because I'm not gonna get that back. Doesn't make sense. The next ones you guys need to avoid in 2024, and I've said this many, many times, is the M42 and M46 and the M43. All of them engines are unreliable. They come in the 118Is, 120Is, 116Is. You get them all in them cars, and also the 320i, 318i, 316i. All them engines are a bag of spanners. Timing chains like to go on them, timing chain tensioners, valve covers like to leak, the Vanos system likes to give up. It's just an absolute nuisance of an engine. Said it many times, many people still end up buying them. You don't realize the amount of people I get on my channel coming to me all the time with E46 320i's they've just bought, 318i's, and I'm like, why in the God's name did you buy this car? I get many people who don't see my video in time, then they see it and they're like, oh God, I've just bought it. You get some people trying to defend that engine, when many of you guys know I've done a video about the reliability of that. There are so many people more in agreement with me about that engine than the odd two that love that engine. But of course they're gonna say they love it. They've been lumbered with it. To them it's a dream car, it's a BMW. They don't see the bigger picture of that car. They just see it as they've got a BMW. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's not a BMW. If you're having to drive a 4-cylinder, it really isn't a BMW. Now, as I said, many people used to think I hate the diesels, but I don't dislike the diesels. I don't dislike 2-litre engines, you know. But the 2-litre engines are very, very unreliable. You've got the N20 as well, which is just as plagued as the M42, M46. That's a problem we've been having all the time. You've got the M14, M13 engines, the Prince engines, which are in the minis, time and change braking, still 4-cylinder, and they're just problematic. You just can't win on them. They're just constant with BMW. They're not good at making 4-cylinder engines, and nobody will ever seem to just acknowledge that instead of just sitting there saying they're great engines, because they're not great. Anyone who says they're great is because they can't afford the other options of that BMW have to offer. But like I said, guys, I don't hate diesels at all. I don't hate petrols at all. I love the B58 engine. I like the 335 diesel. I like the 530 diesel. I like the 330 diesel, you know, the M57 engine. The M57 engine, not so much, because of the issues it had on that with the timing chain as well going out. But they can become, they are reliable as well if the oil's changed on time, but it just depends how badly neglected it is. Obviously avoid a remat one, because a remat one's always gonna have a much harder life than one without. But obviously, you know, you can make it as reliable as any other car. And to be honest, it'll be a lot more reliable than your average N47 2-litre diesel, or, you know, your N20 engine, or your M42, M40. I just don't get why people buy these. As I've said many times, I know you think you're gonna save on road tax, insurance, this, that, the other, but you're not. You're gonna spend more in the long run trying to repair the engine. It will never run right. It will never run right. It is a waste of time, money, and effort. And the amount of money you put into that, you can then total it all up. You pay £1,000 for the car, spend £2,000 repairing it, you pay £3,000 in total. For £3,000, you could have gone and bought yourself a 330i, 130i, or added another £2,000 and bought yourself something like that. It just doesn't make sense. Really, really doesn't. I don't get why people do it, and I never will understand why. I know people are short of money, but if you're short of money, look for something more in your price bracket that's going to save you a headache. There's many cars out there, full Fiestas, full Focus, Vauxhall Astras, this. There's so many cars, even worst case, go and buy an MG or a Hyundai. That's still going to be more reliable than your 320, 389. You're buying a BMW, but anyone who knows BMWs, like I do, it's not cool. Like, do you know, you're not going to sit here and lie to you. It's like the other day I saw a guy with an F30, I think it was, with a 318i, and he had an M3 badge on it. And I thought, you know what, you know, but a lot of people, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. There's so many people out there that seem to think when you tell them you've got a 3 Series, they're like, oh yeah, what, an M3? They think every 3 Series is an M3 because they don't know the models, model numbers, what it is. They just think M3 in it. That's what they think it is. And obviously he had an M3 badge on it. And obviously I wanted to say to him, look, this isn't an M3. Instead of embarrassing yourself, not even an M car, take the M3 badge off your boot because it looks ridiculous. It only had a single exhaust pipe. But you know what? I thought, do you know what? No, just leave them. Each to their own. Everyone has their, let them be happy with what they got. I weren't going to sit here and I just said to my wife at the time, I said, you know what? I'm not even going to bother. I can't even bother to get into it. You know what? Let them be happy with what they got. If they feel it's an M3, it's an M3. Obviously the guy's got no clue. And you know what? I'm not going to open my mouth and say anything. But you know what? I'm on a video here. Many of you guys do the same thing as well. It doesn't look right. That's what I'm saying to you. If it's not an M3, don't make it into something it's not. Those are the cars you guys need to avoid buying. So guys, another car you guys need to avoid in 2024 is the E60 M5. Now I know many of you are going to be angry about me saying that, but it's the God's honest truth. You guys really need to avoid that car. Now I know to many it's their dream car, but let me be very honest with you. I owned that car for 3 years. I did everything to it. Now bearing in mind I bought that car cheap, but if many of you guys had actually gone out and paid 15, 13 grand, 17 grand, and you put all that money into it like I did, which I put into that car probably about 7, 8 grand in total with the new headrest, new solenoids, new water pump, new thermostat. You guys know I've done everything, the rod bearings, Vanos line, just everything on that car, everything you can think of I done. I had to rewire the whole car, obviously I didn't cost, but having to rewire bits and pieces, getting new headrest, getting new this, new that. It was a lot of money I put into that car, the LCI retrofit, doing everything I did. And I still only got 13.5 grand for that car. Now bear in mind I had other ways that car had already basically paid me out double that car. So I, in theory, I actually made over 23 grand for that car. I'm not going to get onto that on this video because, as I said too many times, the guy that bought it isn't fair for me to be disclosing that right now and, you know, making him very angry about that. But the simple fact being is that car didn't owe me nothing. But for many of you guys, unless it's a dream car of yours, paying 13 grand for a car and then investing all that money into it isn't worth it. I'm being very, very blunt and very honest about that. And I have to be honest as well about the fact that many people are under this belief that them cars are gonna rise on value. If they were gonna rise on value, they already would have done. Porsches, for instance, 911s, Boxsters, no matter what it is, are always on the rise. There's graphs I follow online. Obviously, being part of the trade is part of what we do. There's number plates I've got saved on all my cars, and you can monitor the graph going up, 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 and up. Porsches are always going up. That M5 is on the down graph like that. If I can attach a picture, I will show you. The graph is literally down on the prices on them. Nobody wants them. They're not going to go up in price. I don't know why people have this stupid belief that they're going to go up in price. All these people that are hoping for that are the ones that have them, and they know they ain't going to be able to get rid of them. But the God's honest truth is they're not going to go up to the value. I don't know what people are expecting. They're going to climb to 40, 50 grand. It's just not the point. The ones that are going to climb on value are the ones with low mileage, with say 20,000, 30,000. But the ones with high mileage on 100, over 190,000 are not going to fetch that. No way. They're not going to fetch that price. And these people are absolutely obscene to be even thinking that they're going to go up in value, because they're not. They're really, really not. I'm being very, very honest. And that's one of the reasons I never kept the car. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a future classic. We will probably be dead before that becomes a classic. That's the God's honest truth. I have more chance of dying than seeing that car rise in value. Now, on my 911, on the other hand, that car is rising every day. Now, I've already sold that for the price that I've told many of you guys, which is 33 grand once that car's done. That car is rising every day. That's why people don't mind paying for them. Them cars rise. An E60 M5, however, like I said, I think I'll be in my coffin before that car ever rises on value. That's the God's honest truth. Like I said to you many guys, I'm 35 now. I bought that car when I was 32 years old. That car hasn't gone up on any value whatsoever. They're still the same price as they were many years ago. Yes, many people think, oh, that's good. They held that value for 3 years and I still got my money back, but you don't think it like that, because yes, I made a good profit on that car. Yeah, because I bought it cheap. But for a normal person to pay 13 grand and invest that type of money, you'll never, ever, ever get back 20 grand. Even if you paid someone 20 grand today, thinking that you're gonna make a profit on that, you've got another thing coming. Most of you will be sniffing glue. You will never, ever, ever make money back on that car. You will lose money, and it'll be one of the hardest cars to sell, especially here in the UK with the fuel cost, the tax cost, the running costs in general. You won't ever sell that. And these people that seem to think they get offered 100K for theirs or 90,000 for theirs, show me this person and I will pay you 90,000 for your car. Show me this person and I will give you 70,000. If this person's offering you this much money for your car, show me the person who's offering you that money and show me they're serious about buying it. Because I have that type of money and I'll actually buy it off you if that person's giving it, because it's got to be something very, very unique or rare to be offering you that type of money. Because I can tell you right now, I'm in the trade, and not even a trader. When they come into a trade, they tell you go somewhere else. That's what they do. Even my friends, they own a forecourt in London. And do you know how many people go to him with them cars and have been to him in the years, and he's told them to go somewhere else? He won't even take them in. He won't give money for them. Because they are one of the hardest cars of any era of BMW to shift. And it's not because of the scaremongering, it's because of the fuel cost. They are good to drive, very good to drive. Yes, they offer very good performance, but they are not for everybody. They really are not. And like I said, I'm very, very glad to get rid of mine, and I don't regret it one bit. Like I said to you guys, when this 911 sells, the money I got, I could go and buy a bloody E92 M3, an M5, I want to take the prices they're on, 13, 14 grand, and E92 M3 is like 13, 14 grand here as well at the moment. Jesus Christ, I can go and buy both of them, but I wouldn't. They're just not cars for me, and it's a car I will not be buying, because they are not going up on the value that I expect them to go up. If they were to go up, I don't know, 3, 4 grand in 4 years, fair enough. But to go up nothing, or even just like 500, you can forget that. I'm not interested in that. That's what I'm telling you guys. Do not be stupid enough to buy one of them cars. It's not worth buying in 2024. I will tell you when it's worth buying, but right now it is not worth buying unless you're absolutely dreaming about that car and, getting so excited over it every night and having, wet dreams basically about it every night. That's when the car is worth it to you. But if you're not that fussed about it and you're not that excited about it, do not be trying to even buy that car, because it's not worth it. Even if it comes up cheap, there's ones on there now, spares and repairs, and the guy is struggling to sell it. So there you go, guys. Those are the cars you need to avoid buying in 2024. Thank you very much for watching. It's BMW Dr. Dean here. and goodbye.